Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for dropping by. Today we're talking about the mysterious world of venture capital and specifically the 5 key things that I learned from working in this world. Now hopefully this video will be useful for people looking to land a job in VC, maybe some good snippets for you to bring up during interviews, but also it should be helpful for entrepreneurs trying to pitch VCs to get investment. Hopefully useful for you guys to learn a bit more about what VCs do, how they think, and ultimately what's important for them. Now, of course, I should say that there are definitely people in VC who have more experience than I do, but I'm afraid they aren't making any videos, so you are stuck with me. The first thing I learned working in VC is that you have to say no a lot. And specifically, I'm talking about saying no to entrepreneurs who are pitching that VC for investment. Now, if you think about it, the whole VC model is based on the fact that VC funds meet hundreds of companies every single year, and they only invest in a tiny percentage of those companies. When I was working in VC, I was trying to meet 5 companies every single week. And when you multiply that out, that's what, 20 companies a month and around 200 companies a year when you adjust for time off. There are often 5 associates working for a VC fund. If they're all meeting 200 companies a year, that means that fund could be meeting at least 1,000 startups every single year. Now, if that VC only invests in 10 companies in a single year, that means they've only invested in 1% of the companies that they've met. The remaining 99% have been turned down by that VC. You can start to see why working in VC means you have to say no to a lot of entrepreneurs. And this can be really hard and personally something that I found pretty tough. These entrepreneurs are dedicating so much to building these companies and there's so much blood, sweat and tears that goes into building a successful startup. And so it doesn't feel very good to be saying no to founders like that. The second thing I learned working in VC is that building a network is extremely important. Now that could be a network of other VC investors, other entrepreneurs, or maybe people working at incubators or accelerators in the wider venture ecosystem. So why is it so important to build a network? The number one reason is because a strong network leads to strong deal flow for the VC. And by deal flow, I mean just a flow of investment opportunities for that VC to consider. So in practice, what this looks like is you often get an investor that you know of or an entrepreneur that you've worked with previously pushing you companies that they think you should take a look at. Now, the ideal scenario is for your network to be pushing you deal flow before they send it to anyone else. Now that way, it means that you get a chance to analyze the investment opportunity before anyone else even knows the company exists. It's kind of like at school when you have those people who knew about the best parties before anyone else. Hate those people. In VC, it's all about finding the best startups to invest in so that you get a chance to access the best investment opportunities. What this means in reality is that VCs spend a lot of time having coffees trying to proactively build that network. If I had £1 for every time I had a coffee to build that network in the VC space, I'd have enough money for, well, a lot more coffees. Learning number 3 is that in VC, you need to develop strong opinions. Now I'm talking about strong opinions either on a startup investment opportunity or maybe on a wider market and how you think that market will develop over time. Now in VC, people talk about building conviction. And it's really important that you're able to help others understand your opinions so that they can build their conviction on an investment opportunity. Ultimately, you're going to spend a lot of time coming up with your own opinions and then trying to convince others in the investment team that your opinion is the right one. Having said that, it's really important to make sure that you are open and flexible to the opinions of others. In VC, people talk a lot about having strong opinions loosely held. Now what this means in practice is that you might think you have the winning opinion on a certain company or maybe how a market's going to develop, but you need to make sure that you are open and flexible to other people's views that might prove or disprove your own. The next thing I learned working in VC is that it's a great idea to pick an area that you want to specialize in and then spend a lot of time building your expertise and knowledge in that area. If you spend some time scrolling through the team pages of various VC websites, you'll see this happening a lot. So different team members will call out that maybe they specialize in a certain technology, maybe blockchain or artificial intelligence, or maybe a market, let's say legal tech or fintech. VCs do this for a couple of reasons. Firstly, they do it so that they can understand a market or a technology in much more detail, so that ultimately they have a higher chance of picking out winners, winning startups in that market. The whole idea of VC is that you need to pick out the next Facebook, the next Uber, the next Airbnb before anyone else realizes that it's the next big thing. And the best way to do that is to understand the technology or the business models or the markets that those kind of companies are operating in, so that you can quickly identify the winners. The second reason why VCs specialize is that it helps them get to deeper levels of conversation with entrepreneurs and ultimately increases their credibility when they can show that they know a bit about the technology or the market that that startup is focused on. This can be a great way to make a good impression with a startup founder, and especially in those competitive investment rounds can be a brilliant way for you to differentiate from other VCs. The final lesson that I learned working in VC is one that I think might surprise a lot of you watching this video, and that is that VC is a sales role. But Mike, what do VCs sell? I thought they just read pitch decks on the back of their yachts. Unfortunately, that's not the case, or at least not with the VCs that I've met. In fact, in reality, VCs spend a lot of time selling the value add of their VC fund. Now, what that means is when they're talking to entrepreneurs, they often have to sell why they should have a chance to be a part of that entrepreneur's journey, and specifically what they can offer in addition to the capital or the investment. There's a really interesting dynamic happening in the venture market at the moment, where there is basically just so much capital available for entrepreneurs to access. And what that means is that VCs are increasingly having to compete with one another to access the best investment opportunities. And what that means day to day is that they have to spend a lot of time selling their value add to entrepreneurs. Now, VC's value add can take lots of different forms. It could be that that VC is the best at helping startups recruit new team members. It could be the VC can help a startup navigate upcoming regulation. Or maybe even for some VCs, their value add just comes from their brand and their presence in the market. But for those who thought that VCs just turn up and take their pick of the investments they want to make, you are definitely mistaken. So that's it for this video. Those were my 5 key lessons learned from working in the world of venture capital. I hope it was useful for you guys, and if you're interested in more content like this on entrepreneurship, tech, investment, then please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time.